What's up, everybody? We are live with the Jaguar Fan Battle podcast. I am your host, Cody Cole Gaming, and I'm here with the Josh Allen. How's it going, Josh?
Good, man. Glad to fill in for Matt Grieve, who's spending some time with family. I think he like me is on the verge of children going back to school and dealing with all that entails. So he's taking a little time away, and Cody asked me to fill in. So happy to be here. Happy to represent once again the defending division champion Jacksonville Jaguars.
We're happy to see you back. Me and Josh spent a little time at training camp, so we're just going to go over that, what we individually saw and from our own personal experiences. So, Josh, how did you feel? That was your first time attending, right?
Yeah, first time attending one at the new facility. Listen, the facility is brilliant, right?
Right.
My first overall impression just about the facility is that it feels like a professional football team, right? And fans of the Jaguars understand what I mean when I say that. It hasn't always felt super professional and polished and good, right? But the facility, it's the little details, Cody. I'll tell you, it's the little details. So the stands in front of the practice fields face the correct direction, meaning that they're always shaded. They're I think north south is what it is, because whichever direction it is, I didn't get out my compass, but the way that the sun comes up and goes down, there's maybe one row at the very beginning at the bottom that might get a little bit of sun, but everything else is shaded. They have giant fans, bigger than my entire house up at the top. But I will say it does worry me a bit in one regard. I don't know if you bought anything at the concession stands.
No. I mean, besides a Powerade, I think, yeah.
Bro, yeah. When they build this new stadium, and listen, I'm all for it. Like, whatever, build the stadium. It is what it is. I just hope they keep the policy in place where you can bring in food, because right now the Jags let you bring in your own outside food. Like, you can't bring anything to drink. They want you to buy the drinks there, which I understand. But like, they try to make it family friendly and affordable by letting you bring in your own food, right? To an extent. Like, there are some limits on it and certain things you can bring, but you can bring your own food and not have to necessarily pay exorbitant prices. I went to the concession stand. I had my daughter and two of my nephews with me, and I bought a bottle of Smart Water, 3 Powerades, and a bucket of popcorn, and that sent me back $50.
Arm and leg territory.
$50. So it's clear that they're going to recoup the costs of building some of these things from the fans, which I understand, but just go, Jaguars fans, go being prepared accordingly. That being said, amazing facility. What were, I don't know, how many times have you gone, Cody?
So this is my first time too. So I know you said that you went to other training camps when they had it at was it?
Yeah, I went last year when they had it at a local like high school or something.
Yeah.
What was cool about that, I will say, is it was limited access, so you had to know somebody on the.
Oh, what happened? You like kicked yourself out.
Whoops. There you go. Anyway,
right.
Previous years, you had to go. What was cool about it last year was that you were on a high school football field,
right?
Meaning you were right up close to the individual drills. Like, I could hear Josh Allen talking to Trayvon Walker.
Sweet.
Last year, giving him tips and like, I didn't understand what he was talking about because I'm not a football player, right? But I could tell like it was football related. So you're a little bit farther back from the action. It's just more polished and professional. It looks like, you could hold other events there too. I was thinking, like, I don't know what other events they could do. I hope they end up doing tours of the facility also, where you could, pay $20 and go behind the scenes. But what's cool is everything is right there. There's an indoor practice field. There's 2 outside practice fields, stands on one side, and then down the other side, the length of the 2 outside practice fields, the cafeteria, the offices, the weight room, everything's right there. So it's all self-contained, and you don't have to travel very far to go do different things. So the facility was great. I mean, it was good. It was. I'm glad they have it, and glad they spent the money. So it was good in my opinion.
For sure. Just to get back to the pricing thing that you talked about, the jumbo beer,
bro,
which is a regular 16 ounce or whatever, just the tall boy, that's what we call it, is $15.49. Now the average price of beer for NFL, the most expensive was at the Philadelphia Eagles, which is which was $14.67, and that was in 2022. The NFL average for beer.
Dang.
So we're like, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, seventh ranked as far as prices go last year,
Yeah, I mean,
and we're looking to be number one, baby.
apparently.
Let's go.
You know, if you're a degenerate who was like these practices that they opened the facility up at like 8 a.m.
Yeah,
And they were selling beer, like they were selling
right.
beer. If you were drinking beer at 8 a.m. on a Thursday, you know, you kind of deserve to pay $15 a beer, I think, in my opinion. But I mean, you know, that's all the more reason to not for me to not drink when it's hot out. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people I don't know. I don't know how people get like, especially in the Florida heat. Like, I don't understand how people survive that when they do it. But
Oh
God bless
man.
them, I guess. So,
Oh, they had a dollar beer night at like Jumbo Shrimp games, or whatever, and yeah, it
bro,
was.
they had to get rid of it because people were stupid, man. People were just dumb. So,
But
give people
the
from Duval County access to dollar beers, walking up and down concrete stairs at a baseball stadium. You can imagine the sort of injuries that ensued.
So the breakfast burger there, I wanted to talk about that too. This
What?
thing had a fried egg, hash brown, bacon, jam. It's a JAW or JAM or JAW bacon jaw, maybe, I don't know. American
I don't know.
cheese, burger sauce, right? And it's $16.99.
No, I mean,
That's
that
not too
sounds kind
bad.
of good. I
Yeah,
give them credit for having actual breakfast food out and available too. That was
right.
sort of interesting because the Jags the Jags don't run the concessions in the stadium, and it feels like maybe they actually had some input into the concessions that are right there in that practice facility. I don't know what the jurisdiction is as far as if the city of Jacksonville hired a company to run the concessions in the stadium. I don't know if that company also runs the concessions for the practice facility. If they do, then they step their game up because it felt considerably better than what we were getting in the stadium last year. Because you and I went to several games last year, and the stadium food sucked. Like, it
Yeah,
was
dude.
awful. And no idiot cult fans that I know are going to comment on this and other people. It's not because they had rat burgers. Just the actual food was just not good. And that's the thing. If you're going to charge a premium price, it better be premium quality, in
Yeah,
my opinion. But
yeah, for
whatever.
sure. Yeah, man. It was I don't know. Like you were talking, I mean, you were saying that like you don't know, understand how people drink beer like out in the hot weather. I couldn't eat that breakfast burger out there, dude.
Oh, I
Let's
could.
see.
Yeah, man. You know, I'm not a degenerate drinker, but I am a degenerate eater for sure. Bro, yeah, I could have. I saw that on the menu and I was like, I could do that. But I didn't because I had 3 children with me who were also going to want expensive food. So I was like,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, we'll just wait till we get to Chick-fil-A later. And that's what we did. So,
Yeah, for sure.
all right, let's talk about the things that people probably actually care about, which is
S-
the actual
so
team.
so yeah, I wanted to say this, whatever. Did you? I mean, how early did you get there? Like, I looked back and noticed you kind of late.
Like 8:15ish. So we
Okay.
got there before the practice actually started. By the time I got out there, the only people that were out in the field were Josh Allen and Chad Muma doing some sort of warm-ups or something.
Okay.
Coaches were out there setting up the stuff for the individual drills and things like
The
that. So
the first person I noticed was Evan Ingram at the like far side of the
yes, he
field.
was way under the far
Yeah.
goalposts out there.
I mean, it was shaded right there, or whatever. But he was just doing like drills by himself, which I thought was like, really cool because
Mhm.
going from, is he gonna play here?
Yep.
Like, I mean, with the franchise tag thing and all, like, I mean, he would have regardless. But like, he said he wants to be here and this is home and stuff like that. So he's trying to get in his time in training camp that he's missed and stuff. So
Yep.
I thought that was really cool just to see him out there, whatever, trying to get those reps in.
Yeah, it was neat to see him. He looked crisp. Calvin Ridley, you know, he didn't practice either the day before or a couple days before. He was out there and looked literally, you know, he was running next to some of the other people, even in like the warm-ups, and it looked like the other people were running in sand compared to how fast he was going. The dude is just very twitchy and you know, Trevor Lawrence looked a little bit off, in my opinion. I don't know at first if you saw he was throwing wide, even on some of the QB wide receiver, you know, just sort of thrown to each other drills without any defense or offensive lineman involved. But
Right.
you know, it's one day in practice. It's almost impossible to tell what that means, if anything. And then to me, it seemed like they gave a lot of reps to Bethard, and then the other guy, the third QB, Rourke, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Saw a lot less of Trevor Lawrence than I would have expected to see. And then the other thing that really stood out was bubble screen practice day?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
like,
It
they
was
had to have run 100 bubble screens.
right.
Like it was crazy. Like and everybody in the stands was commenting like, what's the deal here? Either the defense needed to practice covering bubble screens, or these bubble screens are going to be some sort of huge part of the Jaguars offense. Because holy cow, they were really, really working on it.
I mean, if you've seen Doug Marone's like playbook, there's a guy that like posted like a copy of something that he came up with, whatever, from watching the 2022 season, and it was just like every single bubble screen and jet sweep is a part of Doug Peterson's playbook or
It's
whatever. So
crazy. Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be a lot of. I mean, he came up with oh my god, what's the Philadelphia special
Yeah.
like that?
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, and to the credit of the people, the offensive units, like the bubble screens were working, man. Like
Oh
now
yeah.
they were only in uh what they call the shells, the top pads they didn't have. That wasn't like full pads, so there wasn't really any hitting going on. And I always wonder, and I don't know because I've never obviously participated in an NFL practice. It doesn't seem like the defensive guys are able to be as aggressive as they would probably be in an
Oh
actual
yeah.
game setting, or even in a practice where they're wearing full pads and what have you. So I don't know for sure.
Yeah, it was kind of like touch and go sort of thing.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but Tank Bigsby was another one that stood out, bro. Dude
Yeah,
was
I was about to ask who impressed you the most during what you can out of what
the
you saw.
third string QB Rourke busted a
Yeah.
couple of what had to be designed runs, and just broke through the defense. I don't know how well he can throw, but dude is fast.
Yeah, he's got
Um,
wheels.
and then really Tank Bigsby. Everybody else looked fun. Like Zay Jones had a catch. Calvin Ridley had a catch. They weren't practicing anything downfield at
Yeah.
all. It didn't feel like so. So some of the stuff was, it was really get it to a guy in space, and then who can block and make a hole and get a guy open, right?
Right.
At the beginning, the one guy who was the dude that did the backflip and then almost,
Oh, that was
gave
Cooper
himself
Hodges.
yeah, Cooper Hodges.
Oh, he landed weird. I was like,
Yeah, he
oh,
landed
come
weird. I was
on.
like, "Oh Lord, this dude's gonna just." So one thing that was cool is like there was like 2,500 people there probably in the stands, and the offensive lineman came down close to where a lot of the people were. And Cooper Hodges, who I believe is from Jacksonville, but I'd have
uh,
to go back and look it
yeah,
up.
McClaney.
I
He's
think,
from McClaney.
yeah, he's a local boy. He's trying to get the crowd hyped up. And this big offensive lineman tried to do a backflip and nearly gave himself a concussion, but it was funny.
350 pounds in the
Yeah.
air, dude.
Yeah, so I mean, it was good. Like the music was, they're playing music, they're doing like it was just a, you know, I mean, it was a practice. I mean, so it's not a game type atmosphere, um, but I mean,
Yeah,
it was fun.
I had to really fill it out too because, like, my first time being there and stuff, and you don't want to like interrupt, the
Yeah,
drills and all that, whatever. So I was like, man, can I just like say Agnew like real quick?
yeah,
And
it
it'll
sort
turn
of
around,
had the vibe
and
of
then
don't do that, right? Like
yeah,
you could
it
tell.
did. Yeah, it felt like I was mentioning to Twitter and a couple other people that I went to like scrimmage games and all that stuff, and players like exit the building, to the parking lot to go to their vehicles and stuff like that, and fans could just like hang out, grab autographs and stuff like that. It seemed like security was like a little extra tight.
Bro, it
Yeah,
was very much well, even with like so once you got to the third section of practice, the third period, they called them periods. They were like 10-minute sections. They started running actual plays, right? The offense did, and they said no picture, no video.
yeah.
There was one guy who had his phone up and he was trying to zoom in to see the number of a player who was kind of face sideways. And boy, those people that worked there were all over like, sir, you gotta put your phone down. We're gonna ask you to leave. You take any videos? And he's like, I'm not taking videos. I'm trying to figure out who that is. And then another guy, as I was leaving, because I left a little early because my kids, my daughter, my nephews, like, they're young, so they got a little restless. Once my nephew realized it wasn't like a game and nothing super exciting was going to happen, he's like, "Can we go now?" So we left, and as we were leaving, there was a guy that was watching a video on his phone of some other. It didn't look like it was. I couldn't really tell because I was walking by, but it didn't look like it was a video he had taken. And they're like, "Sir, did you take that video here? Like, yeah, you got to delete that." And he was like, "It's not a video I took here." So they were very on. And like you couldn't stand down front because you come from the bottom and then up to the top to the seats, and like you couldn't stand there and watch it all. Like they definitely, it felt very like You know,
They
not
put you in
free and
like
loose
this
like it used to
box.
be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like very
which I
restricted. Yeah,
understand. But that's how professional organizations do things, right? Like that's how professional NFL teams do stuff. So
I
I will
guess.
trade if for some reason, if somehow, some way, all of that leads to them winning the Super Bowl, I'll take it. I'll trade the access and the looseness from the unprofessionalism that the organization used to have for a Super Bowl victory, or even sweeping the Titans. Like if we could sweep the Titans for like the next 3 years, like honestly, I almost don't even care what
It
else
was it was
happens,
one of the things that made me a Jaguars fan though. Like,
bro. I
you
hate the
know,
Titans so much.
yeah, but like just being the players being super accessible, like talking to Josh Scobie, getting the glove from Papa's Leslie, like stuff
There's
like
still
that
going to
was
be
like
opportunities for
that
that.
was like my first NFL experience, and it was like it was like the players are like right there, just like me and you, whatever, just hanging out and stuff. And now it's like if I see Trevor Lawrence, it's gonna be like a star-studded kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I've told you my story about Jalen Ramsey, right? For that
um,
Buffalo playoff game.
I'm not sure.
Um,
Yeah, go
so
ahead.
so if you've been to the Jack Stadium, you know that there's a concert venue on the on the side of it called Daly's Place. And you can sort of hang out in there. They have a band playing usually, and they're playing like the other NFL games that are happening, or Red Zone Channel sometimes. Well, it's just a place where people sort of hang out, they eat food, they drink beer before they go to their seats before things pop off. And Jalen Ramsey was just walking around in the crowd, bro. Like before that Buffalo playoff game that they won, where he ended up
Oh
sealing the
yeah,
deal with the interception, dude was just hanging out in the crowd, high fiving people. I mean, and people were being cool about it too. Nobody was like really freaking out and like drawing attention to it, because you could tell that like if it caused a disturbance, he was probably not going to hang out there long. But
right.
he was out there. But like, bro, when they used to go from inside the stadium over to those practice fields, because the practice fields are the same spot they've always been. They've just built up a bunch of nice facilities around them. There was one time where I won a ticket from work, and I wanted to go with somebody else. So I called the Jags. It's like, hey, I have this ticket. Can I trade this ticket for one of equal value that has a seat next to it that I can buy? Right. And they're like, yes, but you have to come in person. This was long before, they did everything, via apps on your phone. So I
Yeah.
go down there. I didn't even realize it was the day the team was practicing, and I get my ticket. I'm walking around the corner. I run right into Fred Taylor, like literally, like right into him, and almost fall down, mostly because I was shocked, but also like he's not huge, but dude is stout, very a very solid human being,
Right.
and I said to him, yeah, he's kind of looking at me. He goes, "You all right?" I'm just sort of like starstruck. And I go, "Oh, you're Fred Taylor," and he goes, "Yeah, last time I checked."
That's
And then like
much.
he's like, "Have a good day," and then just like trots off, and I was like, "Oh, that's amazing." But yeah, you're not going to have that anymore, right? Because they're going in through a different way now. You're not really. Now, I do think on game day, you're still going to have access to them a little bit as they come from the parking lot, because the players' parking lot is still right next to the stadium. But yeah, probably for practices, you won't get as much.
I mean, even in the player send off or whatever, it was like them walking through gates and getting in their car real quick and then just taking off. And it was like,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
like,
because all it takes is one idiot to cause like a problem. You know what I mean? So they had to be a little closed off with it. But I will say the players did the best they could to interact with the crowd in that
I mean,
scenario,
I mean,
right?
yeah,
Like,
you could say the same thing for like Jalen Ramsey walking through the crowd or whatever. It only
oh, I'm
it
sure
only take.
Jalen Ramsey did that without permission from the team. Bro, I'm sure he did not. I'm sure he did not clear that with anybody in any form of management or leadership position. I'm sure he just went and decided he was gonna, because that's just how he rolls.
Right.
So I'm sure 100%. Because Tom Coughlin was running the team then. Like there was no, he was. I'm sure if Tom Coughlin knew he was out there, he'd be very upset.
He
But
gave him that
but
old
still made for
man
an epic
finger.
story, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
he
I'm
gave him
sure. Hey,
that.
come sit down for a second in my office. I'm sure something like that. Like, oh, I need to see you. Tap him. I need to see you after the game. We need to
Pulling up his
talk.
britches, all angry.
No, I'm sure he'd have his glasses down the end of his nose. Like
Shout out to TC,
heard
man,
some
future Hall of Famer.
heard some reports that you were hanging out in the crowd. I don't know. People love Tom Coughlin, but he sort of annoys me. So I'm sure I'm
Yeah, a
in the
little bit.
minority as far as Jaguar fans as that go. But that goes. But
So I love the idea of him. I love the work he does for Wolfsons and stuff like that. But when he was here, I think he was more of a problem than he was
oh
a
yeah.
solution.
Tom Coughlin, the human being, wonderful man, wonderful.
Yeah,
Does many
great
wonderful
guy,
things.
great
But
gentleman.
Tom Coughlin, the GM/coach, I think like there's the culture
Yeah,
of the league, and the game sort of passed him by a little bit in that second tenure with Jags. First tenure with Jacksonville, did amazing. Exactly what the team, the franchise, the organization needed at the time. Second tenure, not as good. But what can you do?
Yeah, cool. Who found somebody that feels the same way? That's weird.
Yep.
It usually doesn't happen.
Yep.
So I wanted to go back to training. And I want to talk about the offensive line. Did you notice anything? As far as like positions, and
No.
who was there?
What did you notice?
So okay, this is what I noticed. So Walker Little at left tackle, and then they had Cooper Hodges at center for a couple snaps, and this was on first teams. So it just seems like they're trying to figure out these positions.
Oh yeah, I remember we talked about that a little bit. Yeah.
Then they had Sheriff Josh Wells or whatever, and they never switched. So Walker Little stayed the same. Sheriff and Josh Wells or whatever stayed the same. But then you had center and what would it be, left guard. So left guard they switched between Blake Hance, which honestly that's the first time I heard that name.
Yeah, me too. I had no idea that human being existed. No offense to Mr. Hance, I had no idea.
So and then they had Chandler Brewer in that position as well, and that name sort of rings a bell because of Middle Tennessee, I think.
Yeah,
I didn't know he was on the Jags.
My take on that, yeah, I remember now you say that. I remember we talked about it a little bit because we were sitting next to each other during most of the practice. I think they're trying to figure out the combinations to cover while Cam Robinson's going to be out, right?
And Anton is at
and Anton Harrison he's got a shoulder injury or something, right? Like
he's at limited practice, so he was doing individual drills by himself on the side.
I think they're trying to figure out who can play what position and to what level can they play that position, right?
Yeah.
And which you would, for first, second week of training camp, you would think there's some of that, right? Because it also, there was a lot of mishmashing of people that you would think are first team players versus second team players, right? It didn't seem, other than at one point when they were doing the full 11 on 11, drills or practice, whatever, the first team offense, you could tell when they were out there, when they put that unit together. And at one point they had them up against what had to be the third team defense. And it just was, oh boy. If we get down to those third team, if we get a chunk of those third string starters playing defense at any point this year, hopefully we put up 50 a game because we might need it. But
so I mean, I was rewatching the Charger Jags highlights, the playoff game, and somebody was going over it and saying that not many quarterbacks could make these throws, and they were like, good chunk yards of like 30 to 40 from Trevor Lawrence, and it was like one of them was like highly contested in the middle of traffic, and the plays were back to back because they needed to come back and win that game after the half. This practice, and I'm not sure if they're going to practice like some sort of situation like that, whatever, where they need to, come back and win a game real quick, and hopefully they don't get behind. But it was a lot of short throws and a lot of bubble screens and stuff like that, like you said, or whatever. That's
Doug Peterson's run game is really that's what I was thinking about yesterday. That's predominantly how they quote unquote run the ball. Other teams will stack up and they'll run guys through the tackles, and they're going to do some of that. But we've seen that Doug Peterson sort of passes to set up the run. So I think that's where, anyway. But I cut you off. I think that's where some of those. Sorry, bud.
No, it's fine. So I mean, I was thinking like with this offense or whatever, with this level of talent on the field, that and Trevor's arm strength, that we would be taking more deep shots, and be comparable to like the Chiefs as far as like scoring points goes or whatever, like trying to get up in the high numbers or whatever. But it doesn't seem that way. It's after the practice that I watched, it doesn't seem like that's going to be something that's in their game plan.
Well, maybe it's hard to say. It's hard to say from one practice, right? Because I've seen footage of other practices where they are throwing downfield. We saw some Calvin Ridley catches and Zay Jones torching people. But that if all you saw was yesterday's practice, then you'd be like, oh, this is going to just be bubble screens all day and some runs and then design QB runs. And then they did have some sort of like sideline, throws to the sideline where. Now, I will say it did look like Trevor and the receivers, when they were doing drills together before they got into the 11 on 11 stuff, were practicing a lot more of the deep ball jump sort of contested throws where Trevor sort of puts it in a certain spot up in the air for the receiver to go get it. But they didn't do any of that in the actual team drills when it was offense versus defense.
Yeah, so I wasn't saying it was like, because obviously I haven't been to the other training camps. Nice to meet you too, Theo. Theo was out there.
Theo, what's up,
Cool
man?
guy.
Hopefully we connect again at some point this year, Theo. We'll figure it out. Maybe we can figure out an away game or something to watch together. But we'll be in touch, man.
I was just saying that it was going to be like a solid piece, like a part of their offense or whatever. And it seems like that would be in their game plan more. It's just a little bit of a conservative side, especially off of the picks that they have, like Travis Etienne and Take Bigsby, to throw to those bubble screens and get those.
Yeah.
Get those
Hopefully, if they
shares.
do the bubble screens well enough, right, and they're effective at running the ball, then that opens up some of the more longer shots downfield, right? Because
Yeah,
those are even for the best of quarterbacks, those long throws, 30, 40 yards, those are 50-50 at best, right? Those are high risk, high reward, right? Like a lot
I mean, we got Trevor more like 70-30.
maybe. I hope you're right, but I don't know, man. So, statistically speaking, over the course of most NFL quarterbacks, that's not been the case. But maybe Trevor's the exception. Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was hard to tell. It was just nice to see the team back in full swing of things. And honestly, it was nice to see Calvin Ridley in person, because like I said, like it's hard to explain. I guess this is just because we have not really, since Jimmy Smith and Keenan, we haven't had standout stellar wide receivers. Christian Kirk was very good last year. Zay Jones is very good, but we haven't had anybody that like Randy Moss, Terrell Owens caliber, and you just get the feeling that maybe Calvin Ridley has that potential.
Right.
So
I mean, I would disagree with you just a little bit there, because Allen Robinson, and he had Blake
Allen
Bortles.
Robinson sucks, bro.
He had Blake Bortles throwing to him, whatever, and now he's got Fields throwing to him, whatever. I just feel like he's having a Larry Fitzgerald kind of career or whatever, where he's like a better wide receiver than the talent that is around him is giving him.
No one would put him in the top 10 of wide receivers in the league. Not a single one. And I guess that's what I'm saying. We haven't really had a top 10 wide receiver. I mean, if you look at Allen Robinson's stats, I mean, he's fine. The most touchdowns he had in 2015 with the Jaguars, Allen Robinson had 14 touchdowns. He's never come close to that since. 2019 with the Bears, he had 7. So I mean, in some of these, I don't know if he was injured or not. I'd have to go look and see like the full stats. But Allen Robinson was a disappointment. Allen Robinson is nowhere near. If we had I put sort of Christian Kirk and Zay Jones in the Keenan Cardell level, because Keenan, as much as I love Keenan, he was not as good as Jimmy Smith. He paired with Jimmy was an amazing combo, but him on his own, he not as good as Jimmy Smith. Very good, but not as good. And that's what I'm saying. It feels like maybe we have the potential to have a Jimmy Smith caliber wide receiver once again that can really is just so fast he can stretch the field. So
I agree with Theo here. Robinson and Hearns could have been the next best duo.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, agree to disagree.
You had Bortles, man, in the season that you talked about where Robinson had a good year or whatever. That's because Bortles did.
I don't know. I don't know, man. It's hard for me to go that far. But
I also wanted to get to this one. Walker Little is holding his own against our defense, so he is getting that good, or defense hasn't.
Walker Little should have been given much more recognition last year. What he did as a rookie was stupid good. He just got shown no love, got disrespected. No Pro Bowl recognition at all, nothing, man. Like the dude was out there. He was a stalwart in the offensive line last year and got no respect. So hopefully he keeps it up.
What was that word?
Stalwart, man. Like he was just he was an unassailable monolith of protection for his quarterback. He was a wall. He was the Great Wall of Jacksonville, is what Walker was last year.
Somebody owns a dictionary,
right? I mean to brag, but I have several.
So Gabriel Ruiz says forward pass.
I don't even know what that means.
It's funny how like Titans fans only mention that one game, even though we beat them twice. I mean, if you really wanted to get into the playoffs, I mean, you got to win something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. They had plenty of opportunity. They literally had 7 opportunities to win one game and take the division, and they couldn't do it. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
You know,
How many forward passes were in those 7 games, dude?
Gabriel, I don't know what to say. You know, I got nothing but respect for you, but cry harder. You know, so that's all I can tell you.
Yeah, go back to your Starbucks.
Right? No, they don't. Yeah, well, only yeah. Can you get mayo at Starbucks? Is that a thing you can add to your coffee at Starbucks? I don't know.
It's the Will Levis special, dude.
You know, cappuccino with double mayo,
Yeah.
soy milk.
The only other person that really caught my eye at practice was Devin Lloyd. But he was like some of the same things he was doing during the regular season last year. He seems like a better like linebacker that's in short yardage coverage. Because he finds himself in these positions where he tipped the ball is what happened, and then Brown caught an interception off the third string quarterback. But it's
Roy.
like yeah. But yeah, man, I think it's just. I mean, he's one of the on the rise players in my eyes in the Jaguars lineup. I hope he continues to do that. Is there anybody else that made you feel any sort of way from what you saw?
I tell you, the defensive line was completely unimpressive as far as pass rush is concerned. Like they were getting, it looked just like the tail end of last year with not a whole lot of pressure. And it was weird because Josh Allen was not in a lot of the snaps. At least I didn't stay for the whole thing because, like I said, the kiddos I was with got restless. But I was there for a good chunk of it. I felt like, and he wasn't in for, and I don't think he was injured. It felt like a practice where they were really feeling out the second, third, fourth string guys to see, all right, fellas, what can you do? Like what, we put you in these situations. How do you react to it? So, the kicker, who's the kicker that kept missing? McManus.
Yeah, McManus.
Bro was pulling him left. Had it been 5, 6, 7 kicks, he was just pulling them left. Just couldn't get to the uprights, and there was no wind. Like there was no excuse. I mean, he had a rough day. So, but I mean, it was.
He took his helmet off or whatever and said some
Yeah.
colorful language. You could tell.
Yeah, you could tell he was upset.
Yeah.
And
Theo brings up a interesting name here, Cisco. Cisco was disrespected too by Herb. He refused to play him. I think Cisco has an outstanding year.
I mean, Urban Meyer's a moron, right? We've established that. I don't know if you saw there was
I just wanted to bring this up real quick, or whatever, because I saw Cisco catching punts and kicks. So
yeah, they had him and Agnew and a couple other guys back there. Again, it felt like a practice where they were seeing who could do what, right? Testing people's abilities outside of what they're normally doing. Oh, I will say today, if you follow Mia O'Brien, the local reporter from 1010XL,
please do.
On Twitter, you should go and see. She retweeted a part of an article that a guy wrote. And I don't know what publication he's publishing on Substack. He wrote about Urban Meyer and just how bad it was. Apparently, after the team lost, forget who they lost to Seattle that year, that Urban Meyer was coaching, like 31-7 or 31-3, and the defense had sort of a come to Jesus meeting. And Dewey Wingard stands up and basically says, "Hey, we've got a rookie NFL head coach, we got a rookie NFL quarterback. We as a defense have got to do better. Like we've got to help bail them out of games and keep the team in games." Well, somebody mentioned to Urban Meyer that Dewey Wingard called him a rookie head coach, and basically Urban Meyer made Dewey come in and explain why he said that, and basically made him suck up to Urban and apologize to Urban, or Urban said he was going to cut him. So basically, I'll cut you from the team. Urban Meyer's a moron. There are very few people that if I saw out and about in the football world that I would tell them directly to their face, I don't like you. I think you're awful. You suck. I wish you had never been around my team. If I saw Urban Meyer in public, I would 100% say that to him. And I don't care how he reacted. I don't care what he said to me. There's just very few people but Urban Meyer was, he was more every day. It seems like every day we hear more and more about just how of a disaster, what a disaster it was having to work for and be around Urban Meyer if you were a player or a member of the staff, and curse that man.
Dude, there could be a whole 30 for 30 just written about like that horrible year.
Dude, wait till the Netflix special comes out about his tenure at the Gators, because that's what I've been telling people for years. He was not squeaky clean when he coached for Florida either. There's going to be a lot of stuff in that documentary that's not going to paint Urban in a good light. So,
and that was Tyler Dunne, so Dune maybe. And he's at golongtd.com.
Okay.
He's a journalist. Yeah, so he wrote the article.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, it was an interesting read for sure.
Oh,
It
we should
got
reach out to him, Cody, and get him on the show.
yeah, that'd be a good idea. Let's see. It took forever to put Williams outside where he thrives, and they didn't see all Devin Lloyd sacks. Says edge in college, now in camp they got him blitzing. It's
Yeah.
wild. I mean, they want people to be like more of a well-rounded, get in where you fit in kind of thing. Because it's like, I guess in the NFL, whatever, like the one trick pony thing is kind of like out the window, especially in
Well,
these
you also have to plan
new
for
modern
injuries,
defenses. Yeah,
right? You have to plan for guys being out. So I wonder if some of that we saw was them, if so and so, if these two positions, these people drop out, how do we still generate pressure by shifting people around or running different packages or whatever? So,
yeah.
but I don't know, man. I like overall it was good. I felt like good practice. It seemed like they were. I don't know. Just felt good. But I got to run here. So,
All right.
anything else you want to talk about?
No, that's it, man. Yeah, keep it light, keep it short.
Yeah, I hate to be inside the business with people listening, but yeah, well, there'll be more to come. And we'll see what happens. I still think that the ceiling is high. I trust Doug Peterson more than I trust any of the other coaches in the AFC South. So I think the best is yet to come.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, it feels like saying there's a potential Super Bowl season coming up for the Jacksonville Jaguars isn't a far off fetch.
Yeah, to me, it feels like we're jinxing it. You're not going to hear me say those words. I think they're a very good football team, and if they play their best football, then who knows what could happen. But you're not going to hear me say like they're going to the Super Bowl or going to win the Super Bowl because I just feel like that's bad juju.
Right, they're going to the Super Bowl. They're winning the Super Bowl, and
Jacks by
I'm gonna
50.
be there. I'm gonna be there at the parade. Jacks by 50, baby. Let's go.
That's right. All right, folks.
All right.
See ya.
Yeah, y'all have a good one. Josh, you take care.
Yep.
See you next time.
Don't forget,
follow,
Sam.
Follow Jack's Fan Battle at Twitter, at Facebook, and at YouTube, and at Fan Battle Sports at Twitter and YouTube and Facebook as well. I'm Cody Cole Gaming, and this is Josh Gives Up.
Oh, yeah, that's me. Josh Gives Up. Also, Sam, go Jags, and Sam loves Jalen Ramsey.